Welcome back to Legend of the GLORIO Heroes. We're coming to you with the hot takes hot off the galactic presses on the latest and greatest going-ons of the legendary 1988 OVA. Sweating under the
maybe
collar.
not latest, but certainly the greatest so
Certainly
far.
the greatest, yes. Yes, sweating under the collar is your host, G, and with me, as always, desperately trying to shovel the broken pieces of democracy back into the bottle is my wingman, Iro.
That's me. How am I supposed to hit the bottle if there's nothing inside the bottle?
Exactly.
You
It might democracy might be a seemingly permanently broken institution here in this show, but we're gonna have to try and shove it back in somehow.
Yeah.
So.
But what the real question is: Are you gonna buy Pokemon Free Plants Alliance version or Pokemon the Galactic Empire version?
Oh, that's tough. I mean, my feeling is that I think inevitably, I think Omega Reinhard is probably going to have a better design, but I think in the competitive meta, Alpha Yang will probably have a more competitive dual typing and probably a better unique ability. So, I think for me as the try-hard Pokemon gamer here, I'm probably gonna have to go with Free Planets Alliance on this one.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that.
Now, that said, I have heard that the exclusive Pokemon in Empire version are, let's see here, according to my notes, it's Bittenfield versus Free FPA's Dusty Attenborough. So, that's certainly a tough choice to make there.
Yeah.
Additionally, here, it seems that Empire exclusive has a Mittermeier, which very tempting. Also has Ranthal, though. Not so sure how I feel about that.
Yeah. Also has Murkats, but it doesn't evolve until you trade him to FPA version.
Murkats. I love Murkats' design, but I'm hearing about his stats, and I'm not sure he's going to be able to hang in OU tier. I think he might be a solid UU utility Pokemon.
Yeah.
Seems like combination of helping hand in both light screen and reflect. Pretty solid skill set, but don't know if he has enough HP to replace Chansey in that team setup. So I think remains to be seen.
Indeed.
I think what everybody's really looking forward to is it looks like Schenkopp is going to be this game's
sweeper.
Yeah, kind of metagame sweeper. But more importantly, I think everyone's sleeping on Julian because look here, he's the endgame dragon. Fucking starts off really weak. Yeah, he doesn't evolve till level episode 56. But I think keep an eye on Lieutenant Junior Grade Julian Minci. I think a lot of potential there. Anyways, I think we have squeezed every bit of Pokemon blood out of this Legend of the Galactic Heroes stone. So we should probably just move on to talking about the show itself.
This installment we're covering episode 48, The Two-Headed Snake, The Battle of Rantemario, episode 49, The Darkness Deepens, and episode 50, Successive Battles.
Yeah, it's getting hot in this neck of the galaxy.
Yeah.
Things are popping off.
We're ramping up. We're almost at the end of the season.
It's amazing. It's a long road. It's been a long road here, but hard to believe we have to almost start thinking about our end of season podcast again.
Yeah.
But look.
Yeah.
Let's worry about that later because we have an interesting trio of episodes we have to get through.
As always. But yeah, episode 48 is we just kick off with the Bucock fleet is hanging at Rantemario and the Imperial fleet is approaching, and even though Bucock knows exactly that the Imperial fleet is set up to lure them into a specific situation, they don't really have a choice. other than to
No.
attack them, blatantly attack the trap that is the midsection.
Yes, yes. You know, we've talked about this I think plenty of times, so no need to go into the lecture this time, but a big aspect of strategy and tactics in wartime isn't just about like, oh, what kind of crazy, what kind of crazy tactic do you pull off on your opponent in the battle itself, but it's like what aspects of your strategy allow it so that your enemy is forced to engage you on their worst possible terms. And that is exactly what has happened to Bucock in the FPA.
We do have Bucock sort of like thinking of a new plan along with Chung and Soon something. Uh, but but
Unfortunately,
yeah, but some of the other fleet commanders or whatever just start going off
yeah.
because we had to throw together this fucking hodgepodge fleet on short
Right.
notice.
Discipline not a strong suit in this fleet that has been literally thrown together at the last minute.
Yeah,
So we have a
but
wing of the fleet already starts rushing the Empire lines and starts just firing wildly.
yeah, and
And
they don't do too bad.
no, in fact, turns out some of the Empire commanders kind of fall for it in a weird ways.
Then Mittermeier is like, oh, we'll punish these fools who charged in, but desperate times can lead to unexpected valor.
Yeah, yeah, or sometimes not even valor, but just that the sheer kind of the kind of strategies you pull off in desperation can be
Right.
so unexpected and so brash and so risky that no conventional commander would ever even assume the enemy would try something like that.
Yeah.
It's that old cliche of like the cornered rat will fight back.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes they will do things far beyond what you expect them to be capable of because of how desperately you have cornered them.
Yeah. And they even push back Mittermeier a bit.
Yeah, for a bit.
For a bit.
Uh, because basically what happens is the Empire gets caught off guard by this ridiculous attack, but they eventually kind of recompose themselves and start blasting the shit out of the FPA fleet again, and we kind of are treated to this montage of just. I don't think we've really seen this happen much in this show, but just like the interiors of ships exploding, taking the crew with them, people getting
I think
set on
that's a
fire, and
requirement of any space anime.
oh, totally, totally. I'm glad we're seeing it. I'm not even that bloodthirsty, but I'm glad we were finally seeing like, yo, this ship's blowing up. That's not just a ship. That's like a ship full of like
full of people.
Yes, hundreds or thousands of people. And yeah, so that happens. But as this battle is going on, it's raging on. We get a, we get a yes, we get a scene of Bittenfield kind of waiting in the back, and
but it's not his style to wait in the back.
No, Bittenfield, like he's been assigned in this battle to kind of like he's kind of been given. I mean, he's like as much as we like to dunk on Bittenfield, he has actually been given a fairly important role in this battle. He is the hammer, to the rest of the Empire fleet's anvil. He has been tasked with like kind of going in for the killing blow when the time is right. Yeah. And to pull that off, he needs to be at full strength. He needs to be saved for the right possible moment. Send him out too early when the FPA fleet is too strong, they'll rip him apart. Send him in too late and like won't make a difference. So like,
yeah,
but Bittenfield, as we said, yes, Bittenfield's like, well, let me just crawl a bit up closer to the front lines, because
just sidle on up here and get ready to shoot people.
Yes. But anyways, we get this great montage of like, we get a montage of the Legend of the Galactic Heroes stereotype of just like this montage of panning stills of men on ship bridges shouting and like,
focus fire on the wedge,
right? Lasers being traded. yes, just
return fire.
Yes, all that kind of good space opera battle shit. Good old that classical music's playing in the background. It's good, but
and Admiral Fahrenheit tries to go for a like pretty wide flank, but the ships get caught in a space current.
Yes, a gravity current caused by like
the debris
the
of the battle
debris. Yes,
being
yes, in
sucked into
relation to like
Rantemario's gravity well.
right, it's just causing a current basically in space that is acting as kind of a weird protector for the FPA's flank. And we kind of get a good bit here where Fahrenheit's like, well, let's try to push in anyways, and he takes a couple losses, like, I can't do it, I got to pull back.
Yeah,
And I think
like,
I think this is a good bookend for what happens at the end of this battle.
Yeah,
that like Fahrenheit tries to push in and like does not have the gumption to push through, push through the casualties that they will take.
Right,
because
I mean,
put himself
he
in an advantageous
also
position.
decided that, like, considering the tactical advantage the Empire holds already, there's no need to like risk his troops for a decisive
just for
blow.
glory or something. Yeah. Like, I mean, yes, there are definitely arguments to both sides of this decision, and I think that generally I am to side with Fahrenheit on this, that no point, like, if you're going to win this battle anyways, no point sacrificing the lives of thousands just for personal glory.
To do it a little bit faster.
But then we kind of cut to Bucock here, kind of, just talking about like, well, how many hours has it been, and how many hours till Yang gets here?
Yeah.
Like, because for them, the FPA isn't here to win; they're just here to not lose.
Yep.
Like, we see here, I mean, I think we see a lot in this episode actually that Bucock is a pretty damn good admiral. He's not Yang tier, but he is good, and he is working, admittedly under very difficult circumstances. But I think Bucock actually really acquits himself well during this battle. Just kind of.
It's a really good back and forth of just like figuring out ways to survive, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, because again, remember, he is like outnumbered 4-1 against Reinhard's best admirals, and like he's hanging in there. He's not winning the fight, but he is surviving, and considering those odds, that's already quite impressive. But
there's a bit here where Reinhard says, like, we'll take a short break because we're kind of at a stalemate at the moment, and tells Hilda to go rest because it's her first battle. And like this is kind of dramatic zoom on Oberstein.
Yeah, Oberstein's very.
I can't believe Reinhard cares about people.
Right, Oberstein very mad about giving employees breaks. Oberstein is the person at the workplace who would be like, he would be the one who'd be like, I don't see why we need mandated 30-minute breaks for 8-hour shifts. I think that's unnecessary.
If they really cared about their jobs, they would just work the whole time.
Exactly. But
kiss in a bottle,
But yeah, so the battle kind of keeps going. We have this great bit where Bucock basically like draws in like some of the Empire fleet that like gets a little overzealous. They get caught with their whole ass out there, and Bucock actually manages to capitalize and punish them pretty bad for that.
Right. His plan becomes he hits like the Empire forces that move in. He hits their engines so that they're immobile.
He immobilizes them. He doesn't take them out.
Use them as cover.
And that works amazingly because like no matter like how callous Reinhard or the other Empire admirals might be, they're not shoot through your own guys tier. They're not Brunschwein tier or whatever. So like it's like it kind of works as like it's a twisted tactic, but it works. It buys time. It makes cover. Like And at the end of the day, right, like that is what Bucock needs to do here. Bucock does not need to focus on big wins. He cannot get a big win. He is not Yang Wenli. He knows that. So like he's doing these.
Hold it out.
Yeah, so he's doing these strategies that are like perfect for just slowing down the Empire, just making this battle as as unfun as it can be. Not that I'm saying war is fun, but like he is. He's making this as inconvenient as possible.
It's like when you get to the end of an Advance Wars match, and because you can't win, you just flood every single square with an infantry and force make
like they're gonna win anyways, right? Right. It's like they're gonna win anyways, but you're just gonna make this as painful as possible.
Yeah, but and recognizing this, they basically order an all-out attack.
Right, and not only do they order an all-out attack, they order Bittenfield to lead their all-out attack.
Screenshot here says, hang the enemy commander's beret on the Black Lancer's spear.
Right, fucking. We got a bit here where Bittenfield whistles before, you know,
Open field.
oh, Bittenfield, uh, rhymes with Garfield.
Yep. Yeah, sure.
But yeah, so we kind of with this episode we finally see like again. I want people to know we dunk on Bittenfield out of a place of love. You know, I think look,
Yeah.
Bittenfield is the dude. Let's not forget Bittenfield is the dude who said like, of course, a dog would enjoy the company of another
Yeah.
dog or something in
Yeah.
in reference to Oberstein. So as far as I'm concerned,
He's all right.
Bittenfield is kind of a dumbass, but he's also all right.
Yep.
But yeah, so Bittenfield is charged with leading an all-out attack, and
Everyone charges right in that space current.
yeah, but
And,
specifically, yes, it is Bittenfield and the Black Lancers who charge into that very same space current that
like,
Fahrenheit backed off from.
there's I like this because you have hope for a few seconds that because Fahrenheit decided he needed to retreat lest his fleet get destroyed by the space current, you think for a hot second maybe Bittenfield's fleet will just ride right into the space current and get fucked up, and we can all breathe a little bit easier, and Bucock will have done it again. But
No, like we
no,
are.
Bucock does everything right. He calculates where the Black Lancers will emerge, so we can focus fire on them, and it's just not enough.
It is just not enough. It's like, to continue this Advanced Wars analogy. It's like where the Neo tank is going to pop out of Fog of War. Like it's coming, but you only have like 4 recons and 1 light tank. Like it doesn't matter. Like it just doesn't matter. Like how prepared you are for them coming. If they just have such overwhelming firepower,
your super effective Ember attack won't work that well if it's too powerful.
Yeah, yes, exactly. And that's kind of where we see like here's where Bittenfield shines. Like because here's the thing, we see that some ships in Bittenfield's fleet take some hits in the energy in the space current. The difference is that Bittenfield doesn't fucking care. Like
he's pushed through.
Right, like this is where you realize where Bittenfield shines is like Bittenfield is not particularly subtle. He's not particularly clever. Okay, he's very good. He's very clever with his words, but intellect-wise and tactics-wise, he is not particularly clever. But what he is he's hard as fucking nails. Like
he'll go,
like
push right in.
Yeah, like he'll take the like quote unquote meager like 5-10% casualties from charging straight into like the enemy's firing line. And he'll take that because he knows his fleet is harder, that they can hit harder and they can take more. And that's exactly what they do to Bucock's fleet.
Yep, and basically wipe out almost everything.
Yeah, they basically decimate the FPA fleet, like right here and there. Yeah. And like
Bucock goes back to his office or back to his room.
Yeah. Bucock's like, everybody excuse me, I need to go to my room real quick. And we're all like, oh no.
Not this again.
Yes, for like the 5th time in this show, we see a leading admiral decide to go into their room to, just pick up a couple personal items.
Uh-huh.
And we see that it is Bucock grabbing. There's actually a great shot here. Like once again, like Legend of the Galactic Heroes, like maybe unintentional sense of humor is that in his he goes to his room and he opens up a drawer, and in that drawer is both a gun and a notepad. And we're like, oh god, he's going to grab the gun. He grabs the notepad first, and we're like, oh thank god. Then he grabs the gun after the notepad.
God damn it.
I was like, god damn it, don't do this, Bucock.
Yeah, but and as if on cue, as seems to happen when a lot in this situation, the Legend of Galactic Heroes, number 2 shows up, tell him not to do it, and I think like Chung's holding something in his hand, and I think it's just like the wires to the door mechanism.
Yeah, I couldn't tell what they were. I don't think he was pulling off a Schumacher where he had the Schneider. I'm sorry, I always get those two mixed up. I don't think he was pulling a Schneider of like, don't bother, I already took out the bullets. I think this was more like, he like fucking broke into the room somehow, I guess. But point is, Chung continues the great tradition of very reliable number 2s swinging in at the last minute to convince our leaders that, hey, not yet. And I actually really like Chung's reasoning. Like
Yeah.
because I think it's a great contrast, like with different number twos. Like when we think of the number two in this show, you probably think of either Kirky Eyes or Julian, and you kind of think about like why are they such good wingmen to their respective leaders, and it's because they are unerringly like supportive, loyal, but also honest. Like that's what made them great. And then you see other number twos, maybe less great number twos, or like number twos that are caught in bad situations. You have like guys like Ansbach for Braunschweig, who seems like that dude was look. He made good on his promise. He made good on his promise to his lord. Like, say what you will about what that entailed, and but he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna kill you, but I will promise to like make good on your final request."
Yeah, I'm still gonna pour this poison wine down your throat.
Yes.
But
And then you have like guys like
fulfill what you ask me.
Right, and then you have guys like Schneider who try to appeal to like Murkatz's better nature of like it's too late. Like you can't. It's too early to kill yourself now. Like we should, like there's no dishonor in running away. Like it's it will not besmirch who you are as an admiral. And then you got number twos like Oberstein, who are like, they're like, yes, give in to your anger, But I like Chung because Chung is kind of like a weirdly benevolent version of Oberstein in terms of his reasoning.
Let me lay out the curly logical reasons why you shouldn't do this.
Right, like his reasoning for why Bucock shouldn't kill himself is incredibly logical. It is incredibly cold-minded, but also like it is cold-minded in an altruistic way. Like Chung isn't telling Bucock not to kill himself out of a selfish desire. He's saying like, we might as well just get into it. He says, look, when we lose this battle and the FPA is destroyed, the Empire is going to hold a tribunal. They're going to try its leaders as war criminals. We will be executed. But if you, the commander, kills yourself and take away that quote unquote satisfaction from the Empire,
right? They'll come after the people under you.
Yeah, they'll execute your subordinates next, and the people under them, will suffer. Like Chung is basically saying, like,
you need to be here and take responsibility,
right? Like, and I think Chung completely like admits, like, look, it's not your fault. Like, you didn't lead the FPA into this horrible situation, but the world we live in is deeply unfair. Somebody has to take that bullet, and it's going to be you. It's going to be me, and that's fine because if it saves the lives of our soldiers, then that is what a leader does. And
stem tide as much as we can.
Right. And I feel like here I was kind of like, all right. I think I've fully turned around on Chung. I think this dude is like, he's cool. He's a little weird, but he's good. But just as Bucock returns to accept the seemingly inevitable obliteration of the FPA fleet.
Yeah,
motherfucking the source of disease himself has arrived.
The work of the trickster, young Wenli.
Yes, he shows up from the rear, starts blasting the shit out of the Empire fleets. Starts blasting the fleet so hard that Reinhard comments to himself, "Kirky Eyes, if you were here, this wouldn't have happened." And somehow the FPA lives to see another day.
Yeah.
Just by the fucking thinnest of margins.
Yes. But yeah, they save Bucock.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
just barely.
And Julian also arrives in his Imperial ship.
Yes, he does that too. Yes. And I can't really call it a happy ending, but it's about as good of an ending as the FPA could hope for at this point, Like
they made it. They somehow survived them fucking being destroyed by Rantemario.
Yeah, a really good episode. Another one of those episodes where you almost forget to breathe. Like, just...
Oh, yeah.
And, I don't want to get into it too much because I feel like I talk about this every time we have a really good battle episode, but, like, I think this episode is a great, like, fictional portrayal of battle, especially without Yang here. Like, without Yang here, you're not really dealing in, like, the sense of, like, oh, what's the crazy, like, what's the crazy trick that wins the battle. Instead, it's like you recognize from the very beginning that Bucock cannot win this battle. There's no magical strategy he can come up with. The best he can do is work with the limited resources he has to the best of his ability. Like, it's kind of what we talk about, where it's like, Bucock didn't go to this battle, getting fooled. He didn't get tricked by the Empire formation. He knew it was coming, and he still had to fight that battle because the Empire had already done everything else right up to that point to make that battle inevitable, to make that battle the only option left to the FPA. And in those sorts of situations, it's less about, like, how can you one-up your opponent or pull the wool over their eyes, and more, what can you do in the battle itself to, like, what are the factors you can introduce, that will throw them off guard, that will delay them, will stall them, will hurt them, and...
I mean, it's like, from a narrative standpoint as well, writers are often told the way to make a conflict interesting is to make sure characters are doing the smartest possible thing they could be doing at the time. And that doesn't mean it has to work out every time, but it proves their competence.
Right. Like, I think that's a great way to put it, because I think nobody actively chooses to do something stupid. Smart people or stupid people. Nobody, like, very rarely do people actively say, I'm going to do the stupid thing here. People are people. They will generally always take the option that they, at the time, in the context, believe is the best possible choice they can make, regardless of they're intelligent or not. And I think that's kind of what makes this battle work so well, it's not just Bucock, it's even guys like Fahrenheit or Bittenfield, the choices they make during this battle, Fahrenheit deciding, no, like, glory isn't worth getting my men killed, yes, maybe I could push through this current, but, like, it's not going to, strategically, in the big picture terms, like, that's not going to make that much of a difference, or when Bittenfield does decide to push through the current because he's decided now is the time to decapitate the fleet, and that it is worth taking the losses to make that attack.
Yeah.
But with that taken care of, we kind of move on to episode 49. We have
remains of the FPA fleet.
Yes.
Group of Heinesen.
Yep.
And instantly upon landing, Yang Wenli is promoted to Fleet Admiral, the youngest Fleet Admiral in history.
Yes.
But also the previous record for youngest Fleet Admiral was a posthumous promotion.
Yes. So, Yang is something of a historical precedent here, Not that Yang himself particularly cares much about the position, but, what it does is essentially, for the first time in Yang's life, gives him a little bit of bargaining power that he did not have before.
Yeah.
It speaks volumes that the FPA is so desperate that they're finally, some would argue too late, but they are finally starting to pay attention to what Yang says. Because now it is either we pay attention to Yang or we find ourselves destroyed.
Yeah, and
Yang
defense is just like, please save this nation.
Yes. So we have
save us.
Yes. So Yang lays it out. What we've kind of already gone over is that, look, we can't win this war. Like, straight up, we are not. Like, we don't have the resources, we don't have the manpower. The only option we have left is fucking putting Reinhard von Lohengrin into the dirt.
Yep.
It's the only way.
I actually like this scene's pretty good, even apart from the actual plot content, just for small stuff. Like, Yang is nervous and just, like, runs through his water real fast. And so
Yes, there's a
pushes her glass of water over to him.
Yes, a lot of really great, like, as much as we just love episodes like 48, we also love episodes like 49. They just have all these, like, great little character interactions that, just, look, sound like a fucking broken record here, but boy, Legend of the Galactic Heroes is a really good show.
Yeah.
But, so we kind of find out that Lutz is the one currently in command of Iserlohn. Royantho has relinquished it to meet back up with the rest of the Empire fleet,
Right.
kind of quashing that theory we had last time about,
Reinhard gonna pull something with Iserlohn.
Yeah, but turns out that's not happening. But
yeah,
we
consolidate Imperial forces even further.
Yes.
Now they have
Yes.
180,000 ships.
180,000. Last we checked, the before Rantemario, they had
the Battle of Rantemario is like 100,000 versus 17,000 or something.
I think it was like no. I think there was much. Wait, did you say 70,000 or 17?
17.
Was it that low? I thought they were like at 30, but
maybe you're right.
Well, they certainly don't got 30,000 ships anymore. Let me tell you, like, yeah, it's bad. It's real.
Specific numbers of specific battles. Okay.
Point is, it is at least a 4-1 or 5-1 numerical difference. And
Reinhard shows up. There's a little bit where, they're talking about how Reinhard has arrived, rendezvoused with Imperial forces. So of course, as he gets off his ship, Mittermeier's there waiting for him. They shake hands.
Well, hey. I know. They're friends. Mittermeier's very happy.
My place for breakfast.
Yes, and I'm sure Mittermeier is probably like, okay, I came up with a new metaphor, so I'm going to say that their front door is open, and that they're letting me sit at the dining table. But yet this, like, what if the food is poisoned? And Reinfeld's probably just like,
yeah, good job.
That's a really good one, Mittermeier. Man, wow, that's really deep.
Uncorks another bottle.
Yes. Uncorks another bottle of wine at breakfast.
And so Young's plan is basically guerrilla warfare.
Yeah, we're gonna.
If we need to take out Reinhard von Lohengram, the only way to lure him out is to whittle down his forces one by one until he gets so fucking mad that he rushes out to the battlefield himself.
Yes, and lucky for us, it's very easy to make Reinhard mad. So this is a pretty solid strategy. The strategy is basically just like it's a grander scale version of how Reinhard won the very first battle of the TV show. Like, when you have a numerically inferior force, what you try to do is you isolate elements of the superior force and destroy them with your temporary numerical superiority until eventually you are no longer the one with fewer numbers. But we have some great moments here, like Julian and Yang have met up once again. It's very good. It's very sweet.
I really like this bit where Yang walks out of an elevator.
Oh my god, I totally missed this. Right,
the press, and they want him to promise to save the country, but Schenkopp pulls his gun on the reporters.
Oh my god, it's so good. Fucking Schenkopp's first goddamn instinct is to pull a fucking piece out on the press, which, god damn, thank God for Schenkopp. At least somebody in Yang's cabinet is smart enough to carry a gun on him.
Just put his gun on him.
It's so great.
But Julian's back, and
and not only is he back, but he's getting a promotion.
Yeah, he's playing junior grade.
Yeah, your Julian is evolving into Lieutenant Junior Grade Julian.
Yeah, and the media loves him because he's hot and young and the protege of one Miracle Young.
Yes, I do love the bit in the interview where they're like, I do love the bit in the interview where they're like, what kind of great strategy did you pull off to capture that Imperial destroyer? And Julian's like, oh, it's actually a part of a very secret plan I've been working on, and I'd hate to disclose it lest the Empire learn our secrets. When we all know it's just motherfucker basically just pulled another Iserlohn.
Right.
And
hey, Julian knows how to talk to people better than Yang.
He does. If there's anything that I think will save Julian in this show, it is that his charisma naturally draws people to him in a way that Yang very much does not. And Yang and Julian kind of meet up. They decide to go out for dinner. Yang talks a little bit about Boris and Boris Konev and their childhood of troublemaking.
I like that they go out because Yang he's basically tired of eating like crappy hotel room service.
Yes. It's more than that. He also comments like, man, I'm the motherfucking fleet admiral, and this is what I get fed. Like, things are bad in the FPA if this is how it is.
But also, it's like, I'd probably okay with eating this rather than fancy stuff.
Sure, sure. But anyways, I think
It's like the running theme of Yang going out to eat.
yes.
Like, of course, Yang can't fucking cook for himself.
Right.
Of course he can't.
No, with that, no, not in his life, never. But
Yeah.
the more important thing that comes out of him taking Julian out to dinner is that Julian asks Yang about, like, well, how did the retreat from Iserlohn go? And Yang says that I'm going to tell you something, and you're going to be the third person to know it, other than Frederica and was it Schenkopp or Kazelnu?
Schenkopp.
Schenkopp. Like, you were going to be the only three people who know this, but I left something behind for the Empire, and
But he's not allowed to tell us the plan.
no, and I think
because it would be a spoiler.
Right, and that excites me because, like, here's the thing. I originally, well, it also it makes me curious now because why would Yang tell other people about this plan? Is that implying that Yang himself does not plan to be the one who takes back Iserlohn?
I don't know. I think he considers Julian a confidant.
Right, but I guess what I mean is, like, we don't know if Julian's going to stick with Yang permanently again. I feel like my worry is that them splitting up Yang and Julian, like, for the Fazan stuff is just like a prelude to, like, Julian kind of eventually forging his own destiny, forging his own legacy. I
think that is likely.
And so I kind of wonder what happens if some situation happens where it's like Julian and his future fleet, are the one who have to take back Iserlohn. And he'll just think back to all those years ago.
Right. I see what you're saying now.
Like, what happens if after season 2 we get another, like, 5-10 year, like, time skip? Right?
Man, it might happen.
And, I know, right? where did that long hair Reinhard come from? And like, what happens is, like, Julian 5-10 years later, now the leader, like, he's Commodore Julian Minci, commanding his own fleet. And, like, what happens if some crazy situation happens where it's like Julian is, like, isolated in space and he has to take Iserlohn, and, like, he'll just think back to, like, what Yang said all those years ago and be like, I wonder if that trick is still there,
Yeah. That's for the baseless speculation section.
Yes, that is our completely baseless speculation that we could find out is completely invalidated by the end of this season. Like, this season could literally end with, like, let's be like, huh? What's this under the cabinet?
Yeah.
And finding a nuclear bomb. Who knows? Like,
yeah. Yeah, we also get in this conversation, Yang finally acknowledges that Boris Konev exists.
Yes.
Yes, so they got up to a lot of mischief when they were kids.
Indeed.
And also, let's see here, that that Julian got to know Bishop Degsby, who passed away during the travels.
Yes, we find out that Degsby is dead, which is an interesting thing. I think I was expecting the Degsby stuff to maybe play into the Earth Cult stuff now that he's here on Heinesen. Like, right. I was wondering if that would be our, like, our back door into that plot line, but no, it's just like, nah, he died of too many drugs.
But it does give Yang the clue that the Earth Cult is working very closely with the Job Truniks.
Yes, and that as much as he would love to spend all of his time fucking stomping Job Trunick and the Earth Cult into the dirt, he is too busy fighting for the very survival of the FPA.
Yep.
But he's got a man in his corner who might be good at this kind of thing.
He does also go on a, but he does go on like a philosophical rant about how civilizations may have started on Earth, but the rules change.
Yes.
It's only natural that the center of civilization is no longer on Earth.
Right, and that the desire to keep the center on Earth is not only selfish, but detrimental to the good of humanity. And I think you could use that very that very conversation. Like, he's not even just talking about Earth literally. He is talking about what we always consider to be the status quo.
Yep.
Like, what is the status quo now will not always be what is good for the future, And that it is the imperative of mankind to know when it is time to change that status quo for the betterment of all of us.
Yeah.
And
So
Yang
he
also says that
finds Bagdashu to research Earth cult's activities.
yes, we like I said, he has a man in his corner who is good at this sort of thing,
He's good at
and
weird slimy infiltrator.
hell yeah, which I still think is completely hilarious to me to this day. Because if you were like, we're talking about, oh, Bagdashu, right? Yang Wenli's like secret intelligence expert. But let's not forget, Bagdashu got caught within the first 5 fucking minutes of
Yes.
showing up on Yang's ship. Like, motherfucker fooled nobody. Like, you could say that's because Yang Wenli's smart, but fucking nobody else
But
even
he's
bought it.
right, just this dastardly whiplash looking
Like
motherfucker.
the fucking second Bagdashu steps foot onto the Hyperion,
Right. Everyone's
like
just like, oh, this guy.
like oh this
Guy.
guy's up to some shit, like fucking. But you know what? I do hope this works out well because I totally want there to be just fucking Bagdashu like James Bond adventures as a subplot of Legend of the Galactic Heroes. Like I want to see Bagdashu like infiltrating the Earth cult. I want to see Bagdashu like pretending to be like a triple agent for the Earth cult, like wearing Earth cult robes, like like just trying to like blend in and collect, gather dirt on them.
yeah,
I am
I'd be into seeing that.
fucking. I want to see Bagdashu like fucking wooing women and getting into car chases
Mm-hmm.
and getting drinking at bars and being suave,
Yeah.
giving people thumbs up.
God,
But
that's fucking shot.
But yeah, so then we finally kind of this conversation kind of ends, with Yang Wenli once again proving that he is literally too good for us. Where he's telling Julian,
the very important advice to
yeah,
don't fight without thinking about the enemy's civilians.
yes, like no matter how bad this war gets, no matter how far it pushes us,
if we destroy Lohengram and save the Alliance, that will cause suffering on the Empire's populace.
Right. Like,
the only way for us to survive is to throw them into chaos. Like,
yeah, right.
Really
I think the important thing Yang Wenli states here is he is not condemning the actions he needs to take to ensure the survival of the FPA. Like, he's not saying, oh, think of the enemy civilians in a pacifistic sense. He is saying, like,
consider the consequences of your actions.
Yes, like if you're going to consider and carry out these, let's be frank, like potentially monstrous actions, like do so knowing like why you must do it. Like, and I think that very much speaks to Yang's character. Like Yang has done things that like in other fiction could be portrayed as somewhat monstrous. The taking of Iserlohn and the destruction of the Geiersberg fleet. Like Yang has, let's not get it twisted. Yang has the blood of hundreds of thousands on his hands, but like the important thing Yang always like, I think that makes us, if not, we're not, not. I don't think forgive is the right word, but like puts Yang's actions into context is he doesn't do them lightly. Like he does them because, frankly, most of the time he's been given no other choice.
Yeah,
and it just kind of continues to kind of lay down, the fucking seemingly unbreakable moral framework that Julian lives with, just because of the time he spent with Yang Wenli. But and then Yang Wenli also has a great line where he's like, and our great founder Ale Heinesen had a legendary phrase. It's always darkest before the dawn. And
quoting Ale Heinesen, that's his quote.
There's a part of me like, wait a minute, he did not invent that.
Well, but then he straight up says like, no one really knows the truth of Ale Heinesen's escape because no one.
Right.
But people appreciate this quote more if it was said by our great founder than if it was just said by some random guy.
Exactly. Which I think is just it's a fantastic little bit that also like plays into the space opera far future aspect of like, you know what? I could totally believe in like 5,000, 10,000 years, maybe certain turns of phrases that we just take for granted now, like might get attributed to somebody born 2,000 years from now.
Yeah.
Just like
information drift.
Yeah, exactly. Like after a while, it's just like, it's like that shit's just lost time, But anyways, the
Meanwhile,
episode
Reinhard and Graham, he's caught a cold. He's got a
he's caught
fever.
the dreaded Empire cold caused from overwork.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't stopped for the past decade, basically,
Yeah.
what he says to himself.
Yes, and but before we cut back to right at the very end, we have Reinhard kind of getting tucked into bed, and then we find out that Merkatz is back on the team, baby.
Yeah, he's just like ditching the government exile.
Yeah, Merkatz is just straight up telling the government exiles, like, look, let's be real, I can't fucking do shit for you guys. Like, you thrust this on me, like we didn't accomplish anything.
Well,
like
as part of the Young Fleet, I can at least do stuff. I can accomplish things.
So, we're kind of getting this great, Yang is kind of slowly beginning to put the band back together again in time to take on Reinhard.
Yeah.
And then finally the episode ends with kind of Reinhard in bed, and I call this, fucking a mile away.
His new
Reinhard just thinking in bed, like,
you guys were here.
Last time I was sick, Kirkiais took care of me.
But now, right now, we only have the next best thing, which is Emil von Sekla.
Yes, another precocious red-headed boy.
I'm gonna go to medical school.
Right. Which I kind of wonder, like, you think this Emil von Sekla kid is actually gonna like kind of grow up to become like Reinhard's new like Julian-esque ward, or do you think Emil von Sekla is gonna fucking eat it?
Oh, I could see it going either way.
Because, like, he's definitely not important enough as someone like Julian for me to think he's going to rise to that role.
Mm-hmm.
But, I guess I'm curious to see what they do with that character, because he's certainly not that important now, but,
yeah,
you never know with the way these shows kind of go. I mean, like, I don't even remember that dude's name anymore, but I'd like to remind you that, like, the most recent adjutant...
his current red-headed adjutant...
is still there.
Yeah,
like, he hasn't fired him. I don't remember his name. He's not important. But like he went through like a string of them, and like the latest one he has is he's still stuck with that one. So apparently that dude is apparently doing his job at least passably.
Yeah,
probably still not good enough for Reinhard's taste, considering that dude explicitly stands behind both Hilda and Oberstein. So he knows how the pecking order is there. But
yeah,
hey, you know what? Look. It's a steady paycheck, all right? Like, you're the guy whose job is to stand behind Reinhard and
do stuff.
Do stuff, apparently. I don't know, like fax paperwork or something. But man, what do you think a fax machine looks like in the Empire? Like, we saw Kirkiais' work laptop. Like, you think their fax machine also is like just fucking like silver and gold with all these like embossed like patterns on it?
Yeah, probably.
Oh man,
I think of how. Of course, I would say this, but in Fate Zero,
yeah,
and they go to the Tosaka basement, and they have the magic fax machine, which is like a skeleton hand holding a big quill with gems all over it.
Okay,
that, like, writes, like
sure.
Message.
Sure, okay.
Like, this is dumb. But
anyway. I feel like the Empire would do something similar.
Exactly.
Yes.
So 50.
Yeah.
The Empire's basically established a front base in the Gandharva system, and are sending lots of supplies because they have to feed 20 million troops.
Yes. There's 20 million troops, 180,000 ships, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
and kind of like
Lombard is holding the supply lines.
Yes, but, we kind of want to mention that, like, just like before, the supply lines are kind of stretched because, like, that's kind of just what happens in wars, and that predictably, the Alliance shows up and beats the fucking shit out of Sombart, and then ghosts before Turnisen can show up, to reinforce them.
Yep.
I do want to specifically say that, like, before this happens, like, Sombart, who's handling logistics, like, Reinhard explicitly tells Sombart, Yang Wenli, that source of disease, that fucking magician,
That
that
trickster.
miracle worker, that horrible trickster, he will probably try to pull some shit on you. Don't be stupid. Don't fight him. Like,
Call for
the
help.
moment things look even a little sketchy, call for help. Like, you almost, like, Reinhard almost sounds like a very, like, harrowed mother here. Like, just call me on the phone, all right? Don't walk home, don't get a ride with your friend. Just call me and I'll pick you up, okay? Can you promise me this, Sombart? And Sombart's like, yeah, you got it, Mom. And then Q literally, like, it
Right.
cuts to the destroyed Empire fleet, and Yang's, like, ship's fucking ghosting. It's so good.
Yeah.
And
So we need to take out the Young fleet is the
yes.
plan, because they're just running roughshod over.
Yeah. Reinhardt is getting kind of mad, getting getting a little hot under the collar about all this.
Yeah, and Yang is like going through his plan on the Hyperion, and is like, wait a minute, why is Julian here?
Oh
Why is
yes,
Tango
yes.
here?
Right, yes. We are treated to a pseudo like famous series of screen caps that in context makes sense, but out of context you realize, like, oh, like, this joke basically exists solely because the subs here
Poor
were
choice of the subtitles.
right, because you get Yang Wenli pointing at Louis Mashengo, who is black, and then saying not who is that, but what is that? And then, Frederica saying, like, oh, or is it Julian that says, oh, that's Louis Mashengo.
Yeah.
And then Yang Wenli be like, what is he doing? Or like, what is that doing on my ship? Which, taken out of context, is like, man, I always thought Yang Wenli was a pretty progressive dude, but I guess everybody has their prejudices, apparently. But
phrasing better be like, why is he here?
right. Like, why? Like, just switching out why for who,
or just like, what
in that
is going
sentence would have immediately made that read a lot better. But I did get a laugh out of that regardless. But yes, Yang just a little surprised that Julian and Mashengo are along for the ride, which I feel like shouldn't be that surprising. I feel like after what happened at Fazan, like, Julian would be like,
I don't think he expected Julian to, be on his crew again anytime soon,
I think so. I mean, I think because of, like, how impactful they made that separation all those episodes back.
Yeah.
You kind of thought, oh, like, this is very much like Julian leaving the roost, but no, I mean, hey, it's just like college. Julian's back for the winter, the winter break.
Yeah.
And he brought his roommate, Louis Mashengo, with him.
Yeah.
So Yang kind of talks, talks about how their plan is. You basically got to, every time the Empire sends out some splinter fleet to do this or that, we're just going to pound the shit out of them and bail. Like, we're not going to go for maximum casualties. We're not going to try to destroy the fleet, but we're just going to, we're going to rough them up bad enough, to shake them up and then leave before reinforcements show up.
But, and so the Young fleet gets cornered by Steinmetz.
Yes, quote unquote cornered by Steinmetz. But no, it's just Steinmetz alone at the start.
Okay, Lenkamp shows up later.
Yeah, so Steinmetz is tasked with hunting down the Yang fleet and has seemingly cornered Yang with a black hole behind him.
Yes.
In case you forgot this was a space opera.
Yeah.
And basically Yang pushes a pretty slick move here where he basically forms a wedge formation and busts right through Steinmetz's fleet and then circles back around them.
Pushes them into the black hole.
But Lenkov shows up, or he shows up in 3 hours. And, we have a great moment here that I feel like this has to be a wink and a nod to the viewers themselves. Because, like, Yang gets a report that, Leninkoff has shown up with his fleet.
Like, the flagship, the flagship, the Gargafamul, has shown up.
Oh, yeah, that's what happens. And then
Yang's just like,
and it kind of like looks to Frederica for help, and she's like, that's Leninkoff's fleet.
Oh, got it. Right, that guy.
Right, which I feel like is a great little bit of, like, look, keeping track of all of these admirals is hard work, Like, it's even now as we reach the end of season 2, I'm not sure I could reliably name all of the new admirals that
Nope.
Reinhard has these days.
I absolutely could not.
But yeah, so y'all basically just kind of styling on these fools,
Yeah,
and
that's what Steinmetz escapes by.
yeah,
I do like this bit because it shows that Steinmetz has at least some character
right.
compared to some other
He's not
clans
your
we've seen.
right. Yeah, he's not your run of the mill shitty Empire admiral. He keeps his cool.
Yeah, straight up just keeps us cool, because when faced with either we're pushed in a black hole and we all die, or we try to retreat and leaves ourselves completely open to be fired upon, and a lot of us die, he just makes the choice. We're getting out of here, and a lot of us are gonna die, but hey, better than that, we all die.
It's basically it's like 20% survival chance versus 0% survival chance. And even though us sitting here comfortable in our chairs, well, you'd always take the 20% survival chance. It's like it takes a cool head to in the pressure of that situation. With every passing second, your ships are being blown up by Yang's fleet. To be able to be okay, this is what we're gonna do. It's risky as hell. Many of us will die, but
Yeah,
we have to anyways. And he does. And he manages to escape because with Lendekamp approaching, Yang can't afford to stick around for a long-term engagement.
And this leads into Reinhard, who punished Sombart quite heavily earlier this episode, now has to deal with Lendekamp and Steinmetz.
Yes. And Reinhard's initial instinct is definitely to go more punitive because let's not forget, this is Reinhard von Lohengrin, who when he was a von Musel, kicked a kid in the nuts and bashed a dude in the head with a rock. And those were literally his first instincts. Not talk things out, fucking go for the jugular.
Yeah, and he wants to just send Lendekamp to Iserlohn.
Yeah, as a punishment.
Bring Lutz back over here.
Yeah, and Hilda, fucking bless Hilda. She doesn't get enough screen time, but Hilda,
the smartest person in the Empire.
Might actually be the smartest person in the room. Because, here's the thing, I bet Oberstein would have advocated for, yeah, punish those guys, fuck them. Because Oberstein's a dick.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, Hilda's not only a good person, she's a smart person. And, that's a powerful combo. She basically lays it down to Reinhard. She's like, I got 3 points for you, Reinhard, and, you're going to listen to me because you know I'm right. You can't punish Lendekamp, or you cannot punish Lendekamp, or while also not punishing Steinmetz, because that sets an unfair precedent. You also cannot set a precedent with Solbart, because if you punish him too harshly, you're going to intimidate your soldiers, and they're going to start making irrational decisions to appease you. Motherfucking, we can all just look to Hitler, or really any tyrannical dictator, to see that when your subordinates are afraid of you, that's when they start ginning up false results to appease you.
Yeah.
And that's how you lose a war. And finally, if you treat Iserlohn as a punishment, if you treat being the commander of Iserlohn, think about it. This is the position Yang Wenli held for 2 years. The Yang Wenli. And if you treat that very same position as your fucking dumping ground for commanders,
you're shitty backwater.
Yeah, people will take it lightly, and they will, and that's just going to make it all the easier for the FPA to take it back one day.
Yep.
And again, it's what she's arguing for is not only morally good, it is also extremely logical. And that is something I can really appreciate.
Yeah, I'm glad she has the vision she does in this show.
Yeah. And, just before, I don't want to go back too far, but I do just want to say that, oh man, I fucking miss Julian and Yang hanging out, because we have this great conversation. Yang, you precious, precious man. Or Julian first, where Yang is oh man,
right.
I'm going to hell for this. And Julian, bless Julian, he's don't worry. He says, I'll go to hell with you to keep you company. And Yang's no, you can't go to hell with me. I need you in heaven because I need you to drag me up with you.
Yeah.
Which
is good work for me.
Yeah, which is very good, very precious. And in a world where we no longer get those sweet private moments between Reinhard and Kirky eyes. I live for these conversations.
Yeah. And
But
go to like the admiral's lounge, basically.
yeah,
Where
this part.
all of the Empire admirals are basically chatting.
Yeah, it's like a brainstorm session. They basically all just meet up and start drinking and be like, okay, how the fuck do we take out young Wenli?
Yeah, I really like this scene because
it's
a chance for them all to talk, and it's a chance for them all to advocate for the plan they think will work, which gives us a good idea of each one's character, you know?
Yeah, totally. Because I think up until this point, we actually have not seen that much interaction between these admirals. Like, I think the last time they were all in open dialogue with each other, at least on screen, was when Kirky Eyes died.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's actually the last time we've seen, like, more than two of them together talking, because usually it's just Mittermeier and Roenthal, or it's like Fahrenheit and
so I'm getting
somebody
a little mixed
else,
up here.
or Mueller. It's like Mueller and like somebody else.
Yeah,
It's like,
I'm getting a little mixed up about the order of scenes here, but
wait, what are you talking about? This is when they're talking, right?
yeah, there is a bit right before this with Admiral Valen going after like Imperial supply or going after FPA supplies.
Yeah. He suggests raiding FPA supply lines, which Reinhard ends up approving. And this whole scene. My bad. Yes, you are totally right. Wow, we went right past this. Yes, we went. Yeah. Hey man, you're the one who started talking about the brainstorming session.
My fault.
But as long as we have that on the record, it's Iro's fault.
Look, I go through my screen caps in order when we do these podcasts. And
all right. And you didn't take any screen caps of this battle, right?
It's because there is a bit of Reinthal Mittermeier speaking in the lounge.
Oh, yes.
Before this battle.
Right, okay.
Where they're talking about how we can't get a good alcohol because the supply lines are slow.
Oh, yeah. Yes. They're running out of wine, which is no good for Reinthal. But yeah, so we have a great bit here where, so Wallen's like, all right, I'm going to take out those supply ships, or take out their supply bases, and
we're going to take their supplies for ourselves.
Right, and so, but, wait, Wallen suggests that. Oh, yeah, it is Wallen, yes. So Wallen kind of runs into the FPA fleet, who have decided to seemingly place their supply ships in front of their main fleet, which leads Wallen to conclude, those cowards, they're leaving these here to run away. I'll happily take these unattended, unmarked supply ships. And turns out we find out that Yang Wenli took a book out of Dusty's book and is doing them Dusty style, which is
freaking them to blow up.
Yes, is filling them with explosives. Which, again, I think I gotta agree with Calcidu, is a deeply wasteful strategy, but you know what? If it works every time, then
it works because they've made it so the Empire is reliant upon plundering resources.
Yes, I mean, yes. In a lot of ways, like,
because they broke the supply lines earlier.
Yeah. In fact, I'm glad you brought that up, Iro, because I think that lets me. You allow me to bookend this conversation with what I talked about in our conversation about 48, which is battles aren't just won by who has better tactics, but often who has better maneuvered to force the enemy into the situation that allows you to defeat them in battle. And this is a situation where Wallen has to go for the supply ships, or he is encouraged to, because Yang keeps blowing up their supply ships. Keeps destroying their logistics. So like a Wallen or an empire that is not in the kind of pseudo dire straits it is supply wise would have never fallen for this trick, but one that is getting a little desperate would.
Yep.
And that's what allows.
And then we get to the whole like everyone's in the lounge scene.
Right. Then everybody's in the lounge. It's like, motherfucker, this plague upon our house, Yang Wenli,
source of disease, the magician, the miracle worker, the trickster, Yang Wenli,
the hero of Alpha Seal. Fucking every time Yang Wenli is introduced to a room, you have to use every AKA. But yeah, they're just like, God damn it, this dude is too fucking good. Like, how do we take him?
Right.
And
And this is where everyone says that their plan that reveals their character.
yes, this is yes. So now we loop back to that conversation again, and you're right. I really do like this conversation because yeah, it shows like what they advocate for, what their priorities are, and what they fear. And what they fear is motherfucking Yang Wenli. You know, it is,
Yeah.
and kind of just it's a neat bit here. But at the end of the day, for better or worse, their planning doesn't really amount to much because Reinhard puts his foot down
Right.
and kind of lays into his admirals, you know, pretty hard here. He's not happy. You know, he's very angry that this damnable Yang Wenli will not bend the knee. That there exists somebody in this world that he cannot dominate,
Yeah.
and that he will play, or he will create a plan that plays by Yang's rules. He will allow himself to be isolated enough to convince Yang Wenli to take the fight to him. And what he tells the rest of his admirals to do is I want all of you to leave. You're all going to raid a different like supply base.
Right.
You're gonna like
Seem
you're
like
going
I'm
to
isolated.
right. You're gonna fly far enough away from me that I am alone. I am like genuinely actually alone. Like I'm not keeping one of you hidden here behind a rock or something. Like I'll actually be by myself. And Yang Wenli will
But he will have more ships, of course.
But he will, of course. It's not like Reinhard. I mean, not Reinhard. It's not like Reinhard is specifically putting himself in a weak position. He's still going to have his full strength fleet, but
He understands that Young's goal is to take him out of the equation, and so he will leave himself relatively open to lure Yang into a battle.
yes, or not only that, but just open enough that Yang Wenli will know this is a trap, but he will still have to take it because this trap is still the best. It's still the best
I think this
option
is
he's
kind
got.
of an interesting situation because we keep talking about how you want to maneuver the other side into the position, you know, and a position advantageous for you. And this is kind of that on both sides because Reinhard wouldn't be doing this Reinhard wouldn't be setting a trap for Yang Wenli in the first place if Yang Wenli had not created a situation for Reinhard to want to set a trap.
Yeah, exactly.
So
in a weird ways, both Yang and Reinhard have now created the conditions that they desire and believe is optimal for achieving their final goal.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, that's not the end of the plan. Of course, Reinhard says, of course, once I get into a fight, you're all going to come back and we're basically going to overwhelm him with sheer numbers.
Yeah.
And I really like this plan for both of them because it's very risky, but also like, here's the thing, right? You might say, oh, like Reinhard is in complete control here. All he has to do is, you know, because he says what his plan is. He's basically going to hide his ship behind, like, in the very back of the formation, you know, like that if Yang, like, because the thing Reinhard needs to do here is once he fights Yang is just buy time until the rest of his fleet arrives. Yeah. So, kind of show this by, like, pouring wine on a stack of printer paper by the looks of it, which is a very funny analogy to me.
Incredibly overwrought show of theatrics.
Yes, but you know that's how Reinhard rolls. But yeah, it's basically, well, see, the wine can't seep through all this paper.
I have enough reserves that no matter how powerful Yang Wenli is, he cannot penetrate all of my defenses.
Right, and you might argue that's an awfully like kind of basic bitch plan for Reinhard von Lohengrin. But then you also realize that, like, no, actually, the reason he can the reason he can even use this plan in the first place is exactly because he has done all the work up till now to ensure his material and numerical superiority, that he can afford to use plans like this that, like, Yang unfortunately will never ever get to dream of or consider because he does not have the same material resources.
Yeah, and yeah,
it's really kind of an interesting situation because you could also then say, well, Yang Wenli doesn't have to take the bait. He could just continue, you know, taking out splinter fleets to just further bleed out Reinhard. But also, Yang can't afford to do that because he doesn't have the ships, he doesn't have the men, he doesn't have the supplies. Like for better or worse, like, he kind of has to take the bait. And I think this is interesting because
also he's the one who set up this bait in the first place,
exactly,
knowing that he would be baited.
Yes, and like I love that dynamic, and it makes me. so curious and so anxious
I know that
to
you know
know,
that you know.
see how this is going. Yeah, and but you see, now we're all like, oh man, this big showdown. Until we get to the end of this episode,
We
though,
also
where
have Reinthal thinks to himself, "Ah, yes, it's a good plan to have us all just turn around and take out Yang Wenli. What if I don't turn around and take out
yeah,
Yang
yeah,
Wenli?"
okay, fine, we'll get to that first.
I mean, that's
Yeah,
it. But,
no,
right,
no,
but
you missed the
I know.
entire Hilda
Well,
stuff. But
okay, yeah, yeah.
but so we have yes. So we'll talk about your thing first. So Reinthal basically. So as we all suspected, if it wasn't here, if it wasn't with Iserlohn, somewhere in this battle, somewhere in this war, Reinthal was going to start thinking, well, your plan hinges on all of us coming back,
Mm-hmm.
But what if I don't? And we kind of like. Here's the thing. I don't know if Renthal's actually going to go for that blatant of a betrayal, but I'm very curious, like, what he might try to do.
Yeah.
Like, and here's the thing: is like there is a historical precedent for these kind of actions. Like, Waterloo, Sekigahara. Like, there are uncounted battles in human history that have gone one way or another because at the last second, like the reinforcements that could have turned the tides decide not to, and
Yeah.
and that can have like drastic consequences. And I'm not even saying Roythal is going to be like suddenly, hey, I'm with the FPA now, but like I wonder if there's a version of this where Roythal's like, you know, oh, sorry, I'm really sorry, Reinhard. The reception's really bad here. Oh my god, you wouldn't believe traffic over here at the Rio base. Wow, it's gonna take me a while to get back. I'm so sorry.
Uh,
Like, is there a version of this where like Randall just like dilly dallies a little bit, before getting back, and like, and then it's like that adds another interesting element because initially I thought, even though this is a trap like set by both Young and Reinhard, I initially think to myself, Reinhard still holds the general advantage, but if Reinthal decides maybe to hold back or take a little bit longer,
right.
does that start to push things back into Young's favor? And that's where the episode ends. But before we get to that, I did want to get to this one part because I think once again it kind of gets into the stuff that like I don't think any of us really like loves Reinhard as a person, but we do love him as a character.
Mm-hmm.
And we have Hilda kind of confronting Reinhard by himself, and Hilda,
She's basically advocating for him to not take the bait.
yeah, or not only just not take the bait, but she advocates that why doesn't he just win the war already?
Right.
Like, Yang's fleet can only ever be in one place. Like, you could just make a beeline to Heinesen and capture it, and then force him to capitulate. Like, Yang's not so patriotic that should Heinesen be captured,
die fighting, right?
right? Like Yang's the kind of dude who's rational enough where if you capture Heinesen and demand that he surrender,
Probably
as
would.
you promise the safety of his men and his crew and all that stuff, like he probably would surrender quietly, and Hilda kind of correctly guesses, and the only reason you're not willing to do this is because that wouldn't let you beat him.
Right.
That you wouldn't personally beat
personal
him.
need to win against Yang Wenli, who you've not been
Yeah.
able to win against.
Right. And we finally, we get the truth of it here. Reinhard is prideful, prideful to a fault. His pride will not allow him to exist in a world where he has conquered the galaxy but not defeated Yang Wenli.
Mm-hmm.
Like it burns at him. It gnaws at him. Like this idea that Yang Wenli off here, just this enigmatic, mysterious man, like this cold-blooded plague of the upon the Empire, is he's probably smirking and laughing as he destroys my fleets. Like probably dancing with ladies and not laid up in bed with a cold. I bet Reinhard, when he had that cold, was like, I bet Young never gets sick. I bet Young Wenli never gets sick. I hate him so much. But yes, it's just just like Reinhard could have won this war already. Like he cannot it just
can't do it without winning. You know?
yeah, like it's not a win unless he's drawn blood, and like I I know this is baseless speculation, but I've been baselessly speculating about this since season 1, and I think we are seeing that it is in fact getting worse.
Yeah,
That Reinhard's bloodlust is slowly spiraling out of control. Like he still manages to keep it on top of things, and I think a lot of that isn't thanks to Hilda's influence, but like
yeah.
and you know the ghostly apparitions of Kirky Eyes showing up every now and then to be like, "Hey Reinhard,
Hello.
don't kill kids. I'm serious. Don't fucking do it. It's bad."
Yeah, but
But
orders Hilda to stay behind on this one.
yeah, I it kind
Too
of
dangerous.
yeah. I mean, for all Reinhard said, here's the thing. Here's the thing that I'm sorry I keep baselessly speculating, but one more. Reinhard says like he's telling Yang like, you know, good luck. I'm behind 9 firewalls or whatever. You know, like you're never gonna hit me. And there's a part he's like, oh, but what if Reinhard's pride? Like, what happens if Reinhard's pride demands, no, I need to actually like trade shots with Yang Wenli?
I
Like,
think it's possible.
like what happens if Reinhard? Like, what happens if Reinhard thinks the battle is going well? Like, what happens if Yang Wenli pulls the whole, haha, you thought you were beating the shit out of me, but getting the shit beat out of me was part of my plan.
I was like, oh my god, it's the Hyperion, it's right here.
Yeah, exactly. What if
I need to take it out.
What if Yang pulls the old, oh shit, the Hyperion's out in the front lines, like, and fucking Reinhard's like, he decides, fuck this, I'm going in.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, would he fall for it? Like if I never thought Royenthal would be dumb enough to fall for it, but apparently he was. So anything's possible. But yeah, all that speculation aside, that is another 3 episodes of Legend of the Galactic Heroes.
Yeah. We're ramping up to the finale of season 2.
Yes. So, do we just want to? We haven't set things in stone yet, but I figure maybe talking it out here in front of our audience maybe will help us arrive at what we're going to do for Legend of the GLORIO Heroes episode 18.
I'm not sure if we're doing 2 episodes of 2 or 1 episode or a 3 and a 1 or just a 4 episode podcast.
Yes, because
like we as of this recording, we've only watched up to episode 50.
Yes.
And my understanding is season 2 ends with episode 54.
Correct.
And unlike, maybe it'll be like season 1, where conveniently turned out that the last 2 episodes work together as their own thing.
But we don't know for sure. And as a result, we're not sure when that puts our season 2 finale podcast, where we, likely bring in some guests to join us.
It'll either be episode 18 or 19.
Yes, rate. So that's something to look forward to for all of you guys. You might think, well, why not just do the whole 4? And it's like, well, if you're listening to this podcast, you know that we can talk 90 minutes about just 3 episodes. If you listen to our season 1 finale podcast, that thing was like 2.5 hours?
3.5 hours.
Like 3 hours? And like, like, if we throw in 4 episodes plus a, final thoughts, conversation, you might be
long-ass podcast.
You might be listening to Legend of the GLORIO Heroes for like 5 hours straight. No,
beautiful voices.
Yeah, and hey, if you're like the person who's all like, yeah, shoot that shit into my veins. I want them to talk about the flowers of Iserlohn and how Kirky Eyes is a bad lover. Then sure, by all means, let us know. But we're just trying to think for we're just looking out for you guys here. So I think one way or another, we will have decided by the next podcast. Whether we're going to do 2 and 2 or just all 4 in one single go. I think that'll really depend on the content of these episodes.
I think current plan is to watch 2 episodes and then decide what the hell we're doing. But
that's what we're going to try.
If you people who have watched the show already in the comments have any thoughts,
about what is the best setup for us here, we're all ears, don't spoil anything, but we're certainly curious to know what people's thoughts are on the best way to take down these last 4 episodes. But with that said, I think we're going to call this a podcast.
Yeah.
So, as always, you can. The podcast is on Podbean, which I think, as a result, means it's on iTunes, Spotify,
Play.
yes, all these other sorts of services. Download, stream, leave a review. Y'all know the deal. You can also find the podcast on YouTube, along with our sister podcast, the GLORIO Chat. You can listen to the podcast and read anything else we write about when we remember to write things on theglorioblog.com. You can follow us at the GLORIO Blog on Twitter.
Yeah.
Don't forget, you can watch Legend of the Galactic Heroes on High Dive and VRV.
Yeah, watch the show.
yeah. If you're listening to episode 17 of Legend of the GLORIO Heroes, and still wondering,
17.
I wonder if we should check this. I wonder if I should check this anime out. Then, you can do that on High Dive. So maybe take a look. But I think that's all our housekeeping.
Yeah.
So, as always, thank you for listening. Iro, thank you for accompanying me on this journey.
Thank you.
It's like I said, man, 17 episodes. It's you do the math. If each one's like 90 minutes, we have talked too many hours about this show, but it's been a hell of a ride, and I think we still got we still got roughly 52% of that road left ahead of us. Barring fucking when we decide to announce Legend of the GLORIO Heroes Gaiden and Legend of the GLORIO Heroes Golden Wings.
No, please.
But I look forward to doing another, based on this math, 20 episodes with you.
Yes.
But so until next time, I will see you all amongst the sea of stars.
Bye.